Hello, everybody, and welcome again to this Pack Talk Show midweek. Today we have Lillian, who is a regular who makes regular monthly appearances on our show to talk about things mental health. Today we are talking about rest, which for me is not talked much about, and you have quite a lot to say. I'll start by saying there is a difference between sleep and rest, and I'm sure you're going to delve into that and tell us more about it. I'm sure we all need rest, but we don't talk about how to do it, how to get rest. So, welcome again, Lillian. Come. We have a little over an hour to dissect this topic, and I will enjoy your insight as always. And if anybody wants to join, you're more than welcome to join either through the comments. If you want her to answer any questions or you want us to address any questions, you can place them in the comments. Or if you want to join live, might as well. You are more than welcome to do that as well. Without much ado, what is rest, Lillian?
Thanks so much for having me in again today. Before we jump into the topic, I want to ask you, how do you feel now? It's evening. It's been a long day. I guess you've been doing a couple of things throughout the day. So how do you feel in your body now? Do you feel energized? Do you feel like you need
Well,
more energy? How do you feel at this time?
usually evenings for other people, it's time to rest after a day's work, and everyone is exhausted. You're probably just settling down. If you have kids, you just put them to bed like I did, and then you're just winding down and ready to go to bed. For me, it's a little bit different because I'm going to work. But I think for the majority of people who don't work at night, it's usually time to settle down and get ready for bed.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think everyone out there would kind of have their own story to
Mm,
tell. You've been busy, you've put kids to bed, and you're looking at going to work. So there's a lot going on. Life is happening.
right.
There are demands from work, and the life is fast-paced. So that brings us exactly to why we are here today, talking about rest,
Yeah.
because we are always on the go. Life is happening, work is demanding, many things happen in life that drains us, and we need rest.
Yeah.
So the question is, what is rest then? Like you said. But
Yeah.
before I answer what rest is, I'll throw a question at you. So
Sure.
have you ever tried to fix an ongoing lack of energy by getting more rest, only to do so and still feel exhausted? So what happens is most people attach um, tiredness to rest. Okay, when I'm tired, I think if I sleep. So,
Hmm.
like you asked the question initially, there is a difference between sleep and rest.
Right.
When you feel tired, so it equals sleeping, which is what the myth we want to debunk today.
Hmm.
So, sleeping is just one form, it's just a subset of rest,
Yeah.
it's just one aspect of rest. So, as we discuss further, we'll get into the other areas of rest
Yeah.
which we need, our body need, not just the sleep that we do. We need
Hmm.
all of those parts of rest for us to feel refreshed, energized, and more alert in the day as we go about our activities.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
For me, when I think about rest, um, sleep it's a major part of that. I think most people think of exhaustion in terms of physical exhaustion from physical activities and to
Mm-hmm.
a lesser extent mental activities and stuff like that. So for me, when I think about rest, and I dare say many people, is just getting your body to get enough sleep. Is like you've had lack of sleep, either you're mentally stimulated or you're physically tired. But I'm sure you will say there's more to that.
Yeah. So many a times you would have a good night rest, like
Yeah,
8 hours or even more than that, but you get up still feeling tired. I'm
yeah,
sure anyone out there should have had that experience
right.
that you sleep and you sleep really good, but then you get up and you still feel tired. So that's why we are here today to talk
So
about different types of
yeah,
rest.
is it tiredness? Would the tiredness be more mental tiredness?
So it could be mental, it
Hmm.
could be social,
It could be
it could be
social, right?
emotional,
Hmm.
And this topic is largely related to what we discussed in our last session,
Mm-hmm.
self-care, which
Right.
spans in different aspects of your
Mm-hmm.
life. So if one area is struggling, it kind of affects the other part of your life.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to search ourselves and know which area of life we are struggling with, which area that we need rest with,
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't
Mm-hmm.
go feeding yourself with a lot of sleep when you don't need sleep.
Right. You can't
Rather,
be
you may
broke.
need a
You can't be broke
mental
and
break.
sleeping.
Rather, you may need some mental rest, or you may
Yeah.
need rest from sensory devices,
Mm-hmm.
sensory rest, or you may need emotional rest. So that's what we are going to be discussing today.
Okay.
So by the end of this show, we would expect our viewers to understand the difference between sleep and rest,
Right.
and be able to understand the different areas of rest and how they can inculcate that in their daily rest life, so that they will
Sounds
live
good.
a more relaxed, a more productive. They'll be more productive. They'll be more
Mm-hmm.
alert, and they'll find themselves re-energizing as time goes on.
Yeah. Fair. So the obvious one is physical rest, which most of the times involves sleeping, doesn't that? So usually you're exhausted from a day's work or from exercise or from doing errands or anything that causes strain on your body. Sleep is a fix of that, is it not?
Yeah. So let me start with the first thing. Let's define what rest is. So
Okay, sure.
rest focuses on refreshing our whole self. So it's aimed at refreshing your whole self, both physically and psychologically.
Mhm.
So we require to top up our energy in different areas of our life as we go about our daily activities. So let's talk about physical rest, like you said. So
Mhm.
physical rest would be taking break from physical activities. I mean, you should take break from physical activities.
Mhm.
Now, there are two aspects of physical rest. The first one is passive physical rest, and the other is active physical rest. So some examples of passive physical rest include sleeping. So passive, from the word you can tell that is not, is kind of
Right.
implicit. It's implicit, yeah. So sleeping, which is what we all know as part of physical rest. Then we have taking a nap. Then we have taking breaks. So if you
Mhm.
feel exhausted at work, you want to walk away for a few minutes, take a break from what you're doing. So break will be stopping whatever you're doing something different, then coming back to it.
Mhm.
Then active rest would include restorative activities like yoga, um, stretching,
Mhm.
massage therapy. That is part of your active rest. So you're relaxing. So the aim of this is to work, is for to help you increase your body circulation and flexibility.
Mhm.
So those are the two aspects of
That's it.
physical
Okay.
rest.
Yeah. So even
So passive and active. Yeah.
yeah. So going to the gym will be a form of active rest.
Um, that would be gym is now more is too physical.
Mhm.
If you look at the forms that I described here of active physical rest, is
Mhm.
yoga, stretching. It doesn't go to anything too physical, like
Oh, okay.
actually going out for a run or something. So it's actually light. And the essence of it is just to increase blood circulation in your body and flexibility.
Hmm.
So not necessarily going for a run. That's actually exercise,
That's
which is
exercise.
not what this is recommending. Remember, we are here on a rest scheme. Our goal. So, have you gone for massage before?
A long time ago. Yeah.
Okay,
My
great.
wife. My
Okay,
wife
great.
dragged me there, but not something that I'll
Great.
go on my own. Yeah.
Okay, tell me, how did it make you feel?
Well, it hurt. I think it was a deep tissue massage. It hurt
Right.
a little bit, but it was relaxing. It was
Yeah.
refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the essence of massage is to increase blood circulation in your body
Hmm.
and to help to relax your muscles. And you notice that
Right.
whenever, and that's another thing, when people do physical exercise, especially very close to bedtime, it overstimulates your body and you
Yeah.
do not get to rest.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have a restful sleep.
Yeah.
So knowing when to rest and what type of rest to introduce at what time would determine the quality of rest you get.
Sure.
And that
Okay.
even goes even to food, the food we eat.
The
Yeah,
food we
go ahead.
eat.
Yeah,
Are we done with physical rest?
yeah, that's physical rest. We
That's
have two
physical rest.
parts, the passive physical rest and the active one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
passive would include sleeping, taking a nap, taking breaks. Then active would be yoga, stretching, and things like massage therapy,
Massage. Yeah.
just to kind of relax your muscles and help you sleep well. Yeah,
Perfect. What's the second type of rest?
yeah. So the importance of physical rest will be to give your muscles time to repair and to recover, which helps you to avoid injuries and fatigue. So when you don't relax, when you don't recover, when you don't repair your muscles that are strained, I guess many people suffer from back pains and muscle pains because sometimes you have those pains and you don't take time to repair those muscles
Mm-hmm.
by doing a bit of stretching and yoga. Then it begins to accumulate and it becomes an injury in the later run, or it turns up to fatigue. You discover that you're always extremely tired.
Yeah.
So that is one very important reason why we should practice physical rest.
Nice. Okay. Is that it for physical rest?
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
Any questions? Any questions
No,
on?
I think physical rest is pretty obvious.
Is straightforward. That's
Yeah,
right.
straightforward. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the next?
Let's jump into mental rest. Mental rest. When you hear mental rest, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think taking a break from things that stimulate you, from things that stress you, from things that might cause you anxiety, and any mental imbalance. Yeah, so I think sleep is one of that type of rest. I think stopping activities that stress you is another type. Taking a break and stuff like that. I think also you can go out for things like walking and being in nature. All those things can be a type of physical rest, a type of rest for
Hmm.
mental stimulation, in my opinion.
Okay. So that's a good that's a good way of describing it. It's as simple as you said. So mental rest will mean taking breaks from the constant mental stimulations that we have during the day.
Mhm.
If you notice, everything that we do requires mental work.
It
Everything.
does, yeah.
When you're sleeping, you're shutting down your mind. You're shutting down. The moment you get up, your mind starts working.
Hmm.
And that is why whenever I talk about mental health, I see most people don't understand what mental health is. Your mind is always at work.
Hmm.
Just think about it that way. The moment you open your eyes in the morning, your mind is at
Yeah,
work. And once your mind is at work, it gets tired at some point. So you need to take a break. You need to know how to re-energize your mind. You need to know what to do to restart, to reboot, or to recharge your phone. Like you recharge your phone that runs down.
right.
The moment your mind keeps working, it goes on and on and on. Then it starts slowing down. I think you should have experienced situations when you're at work and you sit on the computer and you feel like I don't even know what I'm doing here
Yeah,
because your mind is shutting down, right?
yeah.
So that explains why we need mental rest.
Okay.
Great.
What are the types of mental rest in your opinion?
Good.
I listed sleep. Is there any other
All right.
thing?
So some examples of mental rest will include turning off your phone. Your
Yeah.
phone stimulates your mind. It makes you think. So putting the phone down, turning it off is one way that you can introduce mental rest.
Hmm.
Avoiding social media is
Yeah.
equally overstimulating. A lot is going on there. The moment you get there, you're looking at this, looking at that, and you're everywhere, and it works your mind. So you want to
Hmm.
keep those things away to bring it down, calm down, get a break. Like we always say, take a break
Yeah.
from too much going on. Then practicing meditation. to sit and reflect. Oh, I've had a busy day today. Oh, when I was doing this, I got really tired. It overstimulated me. Maybe next time I would if I'm doing an activity like this, I would want to maybe take a break, or probably I'll eat well before getting
Mm-hmm.
into this activity. Because sometimes if you don't eat properly, it affects how you mentally process things,
Mm-hmm.
right? I read somewhere that when you take coffee it affects the rest, the quality of rest that people have, especially when you take it closer to your bedtime.
That's caffeine, yeah.
Have you,
It's a
yeah, caffeine. Have
stimulant,
you heard
yeah.
about, have you heard something about that before?
Oh yeah, well, because most of us use coffee as a stimulant in the morning to help you get going, and
Mm,
because of the caffeine, it heightens your system, makes you more alert, makes it gives more energy. So it's not wise to take coffee or anything that has caffeine prior to moments before your bedtime.
great. So that's exactly it. So those are the things, little tips and tricks on how to help yourself to get good and quality rest.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, some examples would be turning off your phone, avoiding social media,
Mm-hmm.
practicing meditation. So when you rest mentally, you give your brain time to recharge and process information, which helps you stay focused and productive and alert. So the more
Yeah.
you recharge, you give yourself that time to take time, slow down so you can start back again. It helps to re-energize you. It helps to keep you more alert when you start back again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for mental rest.
Yeah, so those are the two that spoke to me, top of mind, and
Sleep.
so there's more. You say, um, what is the next?
Sensory rest.
Sensory rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are now in the information technology era, and sensory rest has become more and more important
Mm-hmm.
because we spend our time visualizing and stimulating our senses. It overworks
Mm-hmm.
us, it wears us out, it drains our energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very, very important to understand that these things drain us mentally,
Yeah.
and it helps us to feel less rested and stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you understand that, then you will know that, hey, I need a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need a
So,
break.
so sensory is mostly tied to screen time and social media. You'll say.
So not necessarily. Social media is just one aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So century, as it means in the term of it, like the word century, right?
Yeah.
It means the different senses.
They are
What are
being
your
heightened.
senses?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your senses?
Smell, taste,
Visions,
vision.
exactly. So social media will just be for vision,
Yeah.
right? Then you have your taste, you
Yeah.
have your
Yeah.
touch. When you're holding your phone, you're touching all the time, right? You're overstimulating your
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah.
So if you're in an environment where you have smells, then you're overworking your senses of smell. So
Right.
senses remain all those five
Other
senses that we
sense.
have. Yeah. So if you're taking a sensory rest, then it means something that touches all those areas of your senses. Yeah.
So it might also mean children calling you mommy, mommy, mommy,
That's noise,
24/7,
which is part of
which
which
is
yeah,
part of the
noise,
sensory stimulation. So you need
exactly.
a break from your
Of
children.
course, yeah. That's why we always say sometimes we need a me time. You've heard about that, whether I need
Sure.
me time, meaning away from kids talking
Yeah.
and overstimulating your
Hmm.
environment, right?
Yeah.
You need a break. Yeah. So
Yeah.
sensory rest is just taking time off from constant sensory input that we have during the day. So
Yeah.
you're just taking time from that overstimulation of your senses. So, like we are over bombarded with bright lights, computer screens, background noises, like you said, kids, it could be the TV,
Hmm.
multiple conversations going on. Maybe if you're in a crowd, there's a lot, or your Facebook or whatever is on, and it's talking. That's too much.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's too much for your mind to deal with and to process.
Yeah.
So it causes your senses to be overwhelmed. So then you begin to struggle. You begin to struggle with a sensory rest deficit.
Mm-hmm.
So intentionally taking moments of sensory deprivation. So depriving yourself of overstimulating
Stimulation, yeah.
yourself with those sensory devices
Mm-hmm.
would help to undo the damage that is inflicted by overstimulation caused by or exposing yourself to all of this noise and
Mm-hmm.
lights and all of that. So examples of sensory rest include turning off your phone, we your TV. We saw it in the other with
Right.
mental. So like I said, most of them are
Mm-hmm.
interrelated, and some examples you would see cutting across different. So you see that it's the same thing coming up here and there again. So turning off your TV, closing your eyes, taking a short break. Sometimes you just want to say, "Oh, okay, I'm tired now. Let me just take a quick quiet time,
Right.
close your eyes." The closing your eyes will be taking you off lights, and it helps to rework your
Mm-hmm.
brain to bring you back to be able to be more energized and more alert. Then taking a bath, taking a shower. Taking
Yeah.
a shower would help to revive and reawaken your senses that have been overstimulated. Spending time in a quiet room, in a quiet place with little or no noise,
Right.
like we talked about the me time. Practicing deep breathing
Mm-hmm.
in and out. Then listening to calm music, because most often we are loud,
Boom boom
a
chat.
lot going on, multiple conversations. So you want to go calm, take it quietly. Some people sleep. I hear some people sleep
Music
with
on.
these therapeutic
Sounds,
sounds
yeah.
like maybe raindrops, water
Fire,
spilling.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like if you've gone to massage, like you said, some massage therapists play some music on the background
Right.
while they are performing, they are doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the essence of calm music, right? To help to calm down your senses, because those musics are designed for a calming
Right.
effect instead of just listening to regular music that is here and
Mm-hmm.
there. So when we rest our senses, we give our body time to recover from overstimulation, which helps avoid sensory overload
Yeah.
stress. So when you overexpose yourself, you become stressed and you're overstimulated, then you feel even more stressed. So that's why if you go to rest, even when you sleep, sometimes the sleep is not enough to 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 help revive you from or to make you feel rested.
Mm-hmm.
Because before sleeping, you were on your phone right in
Right.
front of your face. Your mind is
Yeah.
overstimulated. So you need more time off media and not just sleeping. Even more time off media will make you kind of more relaxed.
Yeah. Well,
That's
okay.
it for sensory rest.
So that's it for sensory. What's the next?
Creative rest.
What rest? Sorry.
Creative.
Creative rest. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my
So,
mind is people who are involved in creative activities,
mm-hmm.
maybe entrepreneurs, maybe podcasters, maybe academicians, anybody that has to think of something new or something creative to attack a particular problem. So they constantly have the problems and they have to find new ways to adapt to them. Am I missing the mark?
Okay. So everybody gets creative or has to be creative at some point in time,
Right.
whether you like it or not. But sometimes if you just, oh, I just, this, before we started the show this evening, I was struggling with my phone and my computer.
Yeah.
I had to start thinking out of the box. I have to be creative.
Yeah.
So life offers us a lot of opportunities that you have to be creative. You do it unconsciously.
Yeah.
So that is another source of stress. So creative rest will be intentionally taking breaks from constant creative demands that we face on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to tone it down. I want to take a break. Okay, this is a lot. I've done with a lot today. Let me take a break now.
Mm-hmm.
So we often feel that we are constantly. So most often we feel constantly in need of producing and creating things that can be quite exhausting. So yeah, Your mind is, it's like problem solving, right?
Right.
When you're creative, you're trying to solve a problem, something comes up. Oh, maybe if I put my pen here, it's going to be better off than here. Oh, let me put this here. So your mind is working.
Mm-hmm.
So examples of creative rest will be taking a break from work. You work all the time, you go to work every day. So take time off work. That will be taking off yourself from the stage, from a place where you're constantly pushed with being creative.
Mm-hmm.
Then pursuing a hobby. So maybe do something that is fun for you, maybe like going swimming, um, listening to music, going for a dance class, going for a walk in a park. Just do something that is fun to you to take yourself off just a stage where you want to think or you want to try to be productive. Just take it down. Then engaging in creative activities that you enjoy, like probably drawing, painting, cooking, knitting, just something that wouldn't make you think a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when we rest creatively, we give our minds time to explore new ideas, which helps us stay inspired and motivated. So the moment you take breaks, like we said, when you take breaks, it helps you to re-energize. It helps you to
Yeah.
recharge. It helps you to, it brings you to a point where you become more alert. The moment you recharge, oh, have you ever taken a break? Have you ever gone for a vacation before and gone back to work and
It's not easy. Let's just say that it's not easy coming back into your routines.
yeah. So normally before you come back, how do you feel like with your energy level? Do you feel like your energy level has dropped
You feel
or
better. You
you're
feel
feeling
recharged. You
yeah,
feel more energetic. Yeah.
yeah. So so that's what taking breaks from from work or from anything that makes you think a lot will do. It gives you that time to be able to rebuild what has been damaged. Then you come back and start all afresh again. And that is the essence of mental health. Because like I said, we will always have stressors. The
Yeah.
stressors are there, they are not going away. You go to work, even if you don't work, you stay at home, you still have to problem solve.
Yeah.
Life still happens. You have the weather to deal with things that are beyond your control and many other things. So there is every need for us to take breaks, to understand the importance of rest and how to apply the different types of rest in our daily lives.
Mhm. So that was good. Is there more to creative rest or we're done with that?
Yeah,
That's it?
yeah,
Good.
creative
Okay.
rest.
What's the next?
Emotional
Emotional
rest. What are your
rest. Okay.
thoughts about emotional rest?
Um, Taking a break from things that make you upset, things that make you sad, or sometimes things that make you happy too.
Okay,
You need to take a break from that. So,
okay.
you know, uh, a lot of those things are interrelated, in my opinion. So, if you are constantly, let's say, um, what can cause emotional rest? Maybe you're dealing with people that you don't like or you don't enjoy being around, taking a break from there. That's one. Um, Things that upset, situations that upset you or that stress you, if you have to take a break from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I think of emotional rest.
Okay, amazing. You gave good examples like feelings. You brought up emotions like sadness, happiness, and all of that.
Hmm.
So, emotional rest will be taking breaks from emotional demands, from anything that is emotionally demanding. So,
Hmm.
anything that makes you to feel overly emotional, those are the places or the things that you want to take breaks from, which we all experience that in our daily lives.
Hmm.
So, emotional rest will equally mean having the time and the space to freely express your feelings and cut back on people pleasing
Hmm.
attitudes.
Yeah.
So when you don't express your emotions, then it overcharges you and then you can't rest emotionally. So you discover that your emotions, there this energy in you that needs to be let out, that you need to let
Mm-hmm.
out. So emotional rest comes in that
Mm-hmm.
area.
Yeah.
Then when you rest emotionally, you give yourself time to process your feelings, and it helps you to maintain your
Mm-hmm.
emotional balance and avoid burnout.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to recharge your emotions so that you can be able to settle in. Okay, let me focus now on things that will not overwork my emotions. Let me
Yeah.
walk away. You should be able to identify that this thing is overcharging my emotions. Let me take a break
Right.
from this. So some
Mm-hmm.
examples of emotional rest would be spending time alone, which we talked about with sensory rest, spending time in a quiet room, um, avoiding stressful situations.
Right.
Maybe you have a friend you argue with all the time, and that's emotionally draining and exhausting. So you want to avoid those situations. Stay away from such people. Talking to a trusted friend, expressing your emotions, like we said, letting it out. Because if you
Yeah.
keep it inside, it, it builds up. So there's always a need to release energy, but
Mm-hmm.
releasing it in an appropriate way, which would be having a nice and honest or genuine conversation with a friend that, hey, this is how I feel. And you'll notice that most often when you're not honest and authentic about how you feel about certain things, it builds up this negative energy in you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever experienced a situation where you're not really honest about how you're feeling? Maybe it could be with your partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
That she says, oh, how do you feel about this? You're like, well, I'm good, I'm good. But you know deep within you that you're not good with it. So the
Yeah.
fact that you haven't aired your mind, you're not authentic, you're not honest, it builds up this emotional
Resentment.
upheaval, emotional upheaval which you need to release. So having a friend or someone trusted that you can be open with could help release that pressure, and
Yeah.
that is what will bring you to an emotional to a state of emotional rest.
Yeah.
So some other things people will do to practice emotional rest would be practicing self-care, the whole bunch of self-care we talked about last time,
Mm-hmm.
journaling, spending time in nature, just going into a
Mm-hmm.
place where you kind of take out, release, let it out, relax, then you restart again. So
Yeah.
emotional rest can be very challenging because we often feel guilty for taking time for ourselves. So most
Right.
people would feel like, well, I don't want to take time off work. I think someone did mention that some time ago in one of these shows, one of our sessions, that most people feel guilty when we're talking
Yeah.
about self-care.
Right.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned that people feel guilty to take time off uh,
Yeah.
because according they feel like, oh, we should just keep going on and
Keep
on.
going
So
and
that
going.
is
Yeah.
where emotional rest, the discourse on emotional rest will come in. You want to understand that self-care is a necessity. Self-care is not selfish. You need time out.
Yeah.
We are always in constant work. Our minds, our bodies, our spirits are constantly working. So we always have to consciously work on planning out rest. If not, you find yourself always on the fatigue, on the end of fatigue, or you feel like you're always anxious, you're
Mm-hmm.
stressed, then it affects the quality of your work,
Yeah.
your productivity.
Yeah.
So that is emotional
That's
self
emotional
care.
rest. Yeah. I guess we're done with that.
Yep.
So the next will be
Social,
social rest. Okay.
social self care. So, any thoughts
I'm
about
thinking,
social self
yeah,
care?
I'm thinking about introverts and extroverts here.
Okay. What about
There
them?
there are people, introverts generally are drained when they interact with people, when they're in social gatherings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, extroverts are people that gain more energy when they're around people. They can talk, they can bounce from one conversation to another. They're happy to be there. They seem to enjoy the conversation. Introverts might enjoy the conversation, but at a certain point, they reach their limit and they need to take a break and recharge.
Mm-hmm.
Am I out of line?
So is there any advantage or disadvantage to either being an introvert or an extrovert based on your explanation?
I think there are advantages and disadvantages. Introverts, they can be more introspective. They can think about things more clearly. They need time to figure out things on their own.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be an advantage and a disadvantage at times. Extroverts might, seek out other people's opinion, go be outgoing about their problems, and try to get feedback from other people. And again, that can cut both ways. It can be both advantageous or disadvantageous. But if you want to tie that back to the topic of today, I think introverts will require more social rest because they want to avoid they reach their social interaction limit sooner than extroverts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. So
Yeah.
social rest will mean just taking break from social
Right.
interactions because we are always in constant, either it's at place of work or you go out to the community, you find yourself constantly in a situation where you have to deal with people, and that could be overstimulating, right? It
Yeah.
could be too much of relationship building to deal with. So taking breaks from social interactions will be where social rest will come into the picture. So we are all social beings, like I was
Oh, yeah.
explaining, and we spend our time socializing, and that can be quite draining. That can be quite draining. So social deficits will happen when we are unable to differentiate between the relationships that revive us and those that exhaust us. So we have one side relationships that build us, that makes us feel
Hmm.
energized, and on the other side relationships that exhaust us.
Yeah.
So we should be able to differentiate between those different forms of relationships in our lives. So to experience social rest, you need to surround yourself with positive people and supportive persons.
Hmm.
So examples of social rest will include spending time alone. We are still coming back to that same point.
Hmm.
And I know most people don't know how to spend time with themselves. Any thoughts on that?
Some people struggle with that. I think more so for introverts than extroverts. More so for extroverts than introverts. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The struggle being alone. I used to struggle with that when I was younger. I could never sit still and be in one place at one time. My mind always
Okay.
had to be doing something. And in some ways, I'm still that way. I have to be doing something. If I'm not sleeping and I'm not doing something, it almost comes off as if I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So resting is a challenge for me. Because most of it is sleeping.
Yeah.
But I definitely understand that there are other aspects of rest that are important. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's mostly sleeping. If not, I have to be engaged in something, or I feel like I'm useless, or I'm not living up to my greatest potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So those are the thoughts we want to undo in a show like this
Yeah.
because yeah, we've just talked about emotional rest, and you heard how most
Yeah.
often people feel guilty for taking breaks,
Yeah.
for staying without doing something. Imagine yourself working throughout the day. It's
Yeah.
like I always use the phone. It's easy to use the phone because it's easy to understand how a battery is up and then by
Yeah.
the end of the day it's gone down. So just imagine that that's what happens to you.
Hmm.
And then you need to be recharged.
Yeah.
That's just it.
But
So once you start putting
rest.
that,
Yeah. No.
yeah,
Sorry. Go ahead.
once you have that at the back of your mind,
Hmm.
then you begin to have a clearer picture of why you need the rest, why you need a break,
Right.
why you need to just sit sometimes and not do nothing.
And that's the challenging part for me because for me, rest is not doing nothing. And even not doing nothing, what is that? What is nothing? I mean, going for massage is something. Going for yoga is something. Taking a walk in the nature, it's something.
It's still
So
something. Yeah.
yeah, so I guess we're never not doing anything. It's just we are finding new ways to relax from other things that are high stressor to us. If that makes sense, because if you're reading a book and you're using it as a relaxation, it's doing something. It's not nothing.
Okay. So
You get what I
that's
mean?
a very good explanation. So the meaning of not doing nothing is just exactly what you've explained. Because if you are at work, if you are at work,
Right.
right, then you're feeling exhausted, then you need to take a
Then
walk.
that's
Now
doing something.
that taking a walk now is what we describe as not doing nothing, which is you moving out from what has been
Right.
overstimulating you and going to something less
Yeah.
stimulating. If I sit here on my couch and I'm watching a movie, to me, I describe that as not doing nothing because I have other things that are important
But
that I
you're
thought
doing
I should.
something. You're
You're
watching
doing
a movie.
something, but then that thing is less stimulating. So
Yeah.
at that time, is it falls under you taking a rest.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that point. But there's really nothing like doing nothing. Because at any point in time you're doing something.
Yeah, yeah.
We we were trying to be
Even when you
philosophical.
sit, right?
Even when you
Even when you
sit,
sit, you're not watching TV, you're not doing nothing, you're just seated. Your
you're
mind is
doing
still
something.
working. Your
You're,
mind is still working.
you're doing something.
Your
Yeah. Yeah.
mind is still
Yeah.
active, right? So you definitely still have thoughts running in your mind. So yes, we are always doing something, but what makes it feels like rest is what you have in here in your mind. I am
Yeah.
doing this for a rest. Once you're intentional about it, then it begins to feel that way. Does that
Yeah.
make sense now?
It does. It does make sense.
If I'm watching a
Uh,
movie, yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
go ahead. You wanted to
No,
say
no, no.
something.
No. You go ahead.
No, I was just
I,
wanting to say that if I'm watching a movie, I'm
right.
definitely doing something. But in my mind, I know I'm taking a rest.
Yeah.
So it definitely feels as rest for me. By the end of the movie, I feel like I am relaxed.
Hmm.
If I go for massage, in my mind, that's not doing something because I have books to read, I have cooking to do, I have cleaning to do. Those
Yeah.
are things I would describe as doing something. So
Hmm.
when I go for my massage, it feels like I'm not doing nothing, but
Hmm.
then I'm
Hmm.
doing something. But then the purpose of it is to make me feel relaxed.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Fair. I think we align philosophically there. Just a few questions there. One may argue that rest is the same as laziness. Is that true? From my son.
Who says that? Who asked that
Our
question?
son. He can't make it today.
Where is he even standing from before asking that
I don't
question?
know.
I want to see his face while he's asking that question.
Unfortunately, it's not here. Yeah.
So so
But to be
you
fair,
cannot.
it's something that a lot of us experience. You say people feel guilty taking breaks from work, taking
That
breaks
is
from their
it. Yeah.
children, taking breaks from their daily activities. It is something that is ingrained in the human mind that we have to be constantly doing something. Again, we have agreed that doing something that's less stimulating is not nothing. It's still something. It's
Yeah.
just less stimulating.
Yeah.
So when we deviate from our routines or things that we think will advance our lives or makes our life better or take away from our duty
Mm-hmm.
to self and family and society, a lot of people feel guilty about that. And oftentimes that comes out, oh, I feel lazy and whatever. Yeah, just lazy.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you pay your flight and you go to Cancun or you go to Mexico
Hmm.
or you go to somewhere Disneyland
Right.
for a vacation, for a
Hmm.
trip, do you describe that as laziness or do you describe that as you doing something? How would you describe that?
No, I think it falls under part of the rest of doing something
Okay.
that you enjoy, relaxing. But you do that for a while, and then and then you start feeling like, well, this is creeping into laziness, don't you? Have you gone on vacation? Like, have you gone to Cameroon and stayed for Cameroon for over a month? Like,
Okay.
maybe it's time to go back. It's almost feeling like laziness now.
Okay.
No, you don't get those thoughts. I do. I do. I get them. Because when you go
Yeah.
there, it's fun. You're happy to visit people, families, and at a certain time you've seen everybody, and then maybe you've seen them three, four times again on the road. I'm like, okay, now maybe I'm done just sitting around and eating and drinking and just marrying. This is not life. Life is not meant to be like that. You have to
Mm-hmm.
go back to things that you have to do to make it worthwhile for you to take that time off, if that makes sense. Like vacation doesn't feel like vacation if you haven't worked hard for it.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
In essence, like people who enjoy vacation are people who have worked hard
Work.
for it and they feel like they deserve it and then they take time off. But I think sooner or later you begin to feel like, oh, this is beginning to creep some laziness. Maybe I'm overthinking, but yeah.
Okay.
Expanding is
Let me
fun.
respond to that.
Yeah.
There is an old adage that goes, too much of a thing is a disease.
Right.
So the essence of rest is to take breaks from what is overextending. So
Yeah.
if you're working for too long, then you feel exhausted.
Yeah.
You need to take a break. Breaks are
Mm.
meant to break rest. It means you're taking a rest from something,
Right.
right? So if you go for vacation, even when you go for vacation, you do it for a couple
You
of
get
days or a couple of
tired
weeks
of
and
it.
you're done with it.
Yeah.
And you're done with it and you have to go back to different
Right.
activities. If you have to do that for forever, then definitely it's not going to feel like fun again
No.
because
No.
you've done it, you've overdone
It
it.
was
So
done.
that's what we
Yeah.
talk about, the overstimulation and
Mm-hmm.
repetitive. When you do something repeatedly, it loses its
It
value.
does. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the value of
Yeah.
something is when it's scarce, is when it's not always
Right.
available.
You see, I mean, you get it from the way people talk. Oh, if I only won the lottery, or if I only had this much money, then I'm just gonna stop working.
Right,
I mean, it sounds good, but I don't think people realize the importance of work.
right,
Work keeps you on the is more than a paycheck. It keeps you on a purpose. It keeps you on a mission.
right,
It makes you feel like you are contributing to society.
right.
And life on vacation, or in other words, resting all the time can be detrimental. I mean, there's a reason why you have to work to earn your rest.
Yeah,
Is because then rest becomes more meaningful because there's some work that preceded it. You know,
yeah,
um, I don't think, oh, just sitting doing nothing, which we have all agreed it means just doing something else. It's the human nature. You vacation
no.
is only meaningful, or rest is only meaningful when there has been something that made you to require to be deserving of that rest.
When when we define rest, we use the word refreshing.
Refreshing,
Why
exactly.
would you refresh? Because there has been work.
There's been
Then
working right.
yeah. So we are not saying here that you have to spend your whole life resting. No. That's not realistic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The essence of rest is to come in after we work, after we do things in life,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Then we inculcate, we introduce those little forms of rest in our daily activities to create a
Mhm.
balance. The
Yeah.
purpose of rest is to help us
Create
create that
the
balance from
balance.
life
Yeah.
stressors. So it's
Perfect.
not
Yeah.
about you spending your entire life and never working
Never working.
and sleeping all day or going for massage for the whole
Right.
time of your life. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
We are not encouraging
Yeah.
laziness here.
Exactly. Not that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if we have any other question. Still from my
Okay.
son here. Out of the 7 types of rest, which is the most important?
Hmm. We cannot outlist any form of rest as most important because the need for a form of rest comes in depending on how you're feeling at that time or depending on what is going on in your life at that time. We talked about century, someone who spends time in a place that is overstimulating, maybe someone who works in an industrial zone and they have to smell a lot of chemicals. You need to take time off that place
Yeah.
to kind of recharge and get back to and feel balanced once more. So I don't think there is any form of self or social of rest
Mhm.
that will be outlisted as a most important. No, every form of rest that we have talked about, that we are still talking about, is necessary because it's part of our lives.
Mhm.
We have talked about physical. We are all physical beings. We need the physical rest. We need the sleep. We need stretching out to relax our muscles to to help blood circulate properly in our body. Most have you thought about have you have you thought about what happens to these elderly people who spend their time on sick
Oh,
bed and they
yeah.
can't move their bodies? They go
You
through
start dying.
terrible
You stop
pains.
doing things. Yeah.
Yeah, the body shuts down, it doesn't function again, and they feel exhausted. No matter how much sleep they do, they don't
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
refreshed. So
Yeah.
there is no form. So if someone has to spend their time sleeping and not practicing other forms of rest, then they are not refreshed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I hope that answers that question.
Well, that does. No more questions. Is there any other thing on rest that we need to talk about?
Yeah. Let me finish up with
Sure.
social rest. So the forms of social rest, like we're talking, is spending time alone, avoiding social stressful or social situations.
Mhm.
Maybe sometimes staying off parties to just kind of have some quiet time for yourself
Yeah.
can be reviving. Spending time with close so spending time with people that mean much to you is another way of practicing
Mhm.
social rest.
Mhm.
But then, on one hand, you're avoiding crowded and social situations, but
Yeah.
on the other hand, you want to spend time with people who mean something to you, close family,
Yeah.
friends, family members, and friends who mean much to you. That would help to revive the social aspect of your life. Then, having a solo picnic, maybe taking yourself out for lunch, eating yourself, just having that quiet time, meditating could help to revive your social life. Then practicing self-care. We always come back to that. So when we rest socially, we give ourselves time to recharge and we maintain our emotional boundaries,
Mhm.
which helps us to avoid social burnouts. When you
Mhm.
over interact, you could experience social burnout and staying connected with friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Good one. Um. So, for a lot of us living abroad, social gatherings is where we get more energy from because it's kind of a reminder back home. Does the social rest apply to us?
Did you say social rest is where we get what?
Social gathering. Can you hear me?
Yeah, social
Yeah.
gatherings is where you get.
Is where we get more energy, a reminder of home, kind of bring you back to who you are in a sense, you know. But
So
yeah.
that is a generic statement you made,
Mhm.
which which is right in one way, but in another way it's wrong.
Okay.
So it's a 50-50. So you may need to be out there in the community in order to feel like, oh, I'm in a social setting, I'm reconnecting to my roots. I feel good being in midst of people from my area. But then I have had a busy day, I've had a crazy day at work with colleagues. I need time off any social setting.
Hmm.
So that will not be a recommendation for me, Lillian,
Yeah.
but it could be for you.
Yeah.
So
No, at that times I don't like to go to party too, and I
perfect.
don't like to.
So there is no one size fit all.
Yeah.
So there is no one size. So in one situation, it would work. In another situation, that is why we are talking about the different forms,
Hmm.
so that each person. That's why we don't prescribe general medication for everyone in mental health. No,
Right.
it's a one-on-one basis. It's unique for each person. You may come into me and probably what you need is spiritual rest, which we are going to talk about now.
Yeah.
And another
What
person
is that?
needs
Sorry.
and another person
What
needs
is spiritual rest?
more emotional rest. Yeah. So tell me, what do you think
I,
about spiritual
I
rest? What
have
comes to
no
your mind?
idea what spiritual rest is. To be honest,
Do you
like, do you take
remember?
a
Do you
break from God, or do you take a break from your religious, spiritual religious practices? Like, what is that?
so, so did you were you part of the show on that we did on self care and we talked about
I came
spiritual
in
self
later,
care?
and I had a
Oh,
lot. I had,
you came in at some point.
yeah.
Okay, okay. So you came in at some point, then you left. Okay. So let me start by describing what spiritual self-care would be.
Right.
Spiritual will not necessarily mean religion. No.
Okay.
Spiritual would just mean that connection to deeper thoughts. Deeper thoughts. So the deeper thoughts could mean anything for any person. For some people, it's religious. For some people, it's belief, probably believe in idols. For some people, it could be believe that the universe takes charge of everything. That's spirituality.
Hmm.
So spirituality is not necessarily religion. It's just about those deeper thoughts. What gives you meaning to life?
Right.
What is that underlying meaning that you have, that you give to life?
Yeah. I guess my main point is the rest part. It almost sounds like taking a break from that, not doing more
Exactly.
connecting to
Exactly.
higher power.
Yeah, exactly. So spiritual rest is your ability to connect beyond the physical. So it's not just about what you're seeing in front of you. There is that realm, something different that no one sees. It's not physical.
Mhm.
So you're connecting your ability to connect beyond the physical and mental. And it gives you a sense of belonging, that love, acceptance, and purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
So does
doing,
that make
doing
any sense
yeah,
now?
but it's doing more religious or more spiritual things, connecting to
Not necessarily
not
religious, not necessarily. For some people,
yeah.
spirituality would be
Right.
religious. For some people, it will not be. So if you heard our discussion, we talked about beyond physical, beyond mental, anything that makes you feel like you have a sense of belonging.
Right.
What makes you feel like I connect to something? Anything that makes you feel loved, anything that makes you feel accepted, anything that makes you have a sense of purpose.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, like I said, for some people, it's religion, which is probably either Christianity. There are different forms of religion,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if
So
if
when does the rest come in? I
so,
guess.
the rest will be taking breaks from those spiritual thoughts, those spiritual demands. Like, okay, let's take it down. What are some of the things that you can do to take a break of those deep thoughts, not overworking yourself? So there are some activities, there are some things that you can indulge in that would help you to kind of tone it down,
Hmm.
that would kind of help you to keep at bay and not being overstimulated.
Hmm.
The essence of it, of the rest at the end of the day, is to take you from a point where your energy is low and take it high. So whatever will help you to re-energize. So what are some of those activities that we can engage in that would help us not to be too deep in our thoughts?
I know, sleep, walk, take a walk, be in nature, talk to friends, all the things that
Hmm.
are listed.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. For me, I can understand the other parts, although I did not really haven't thought about them deeply. But the spiritual rest is where I'm having a little bit
it's
of
a
a
bit
challenge.
complex.
It sounds like an oxymoron from the way you're explaining it. Because in one sense, you say it is intended for you to connect to a higher power
Yeah,
from
yeah. So
people,
spirituality will be connecting to something, yeah, to
something
a
higher than
higher
self.
power. Yeah, then taking rest, taking a break from that.
Taking
Because
a break
sometimes
from
people
taking a
overthink.
break from connecting to higher power. That's how I say it. Taking a break
Yeah.
from
So
connecting
the,
to
the rest would be to reduce that overstimulation that comes with the spiritual thoughts, that spiritual parts of our lives. Some
so, so
things that you can
what
do.
are examples of spiritual thoughts?
Meditating.
Okay.
So sometimes you would meditate and you say, maybe I'm overthinking. Okay, you turn it. So just taking time to reflect would help you to take a break or to rest spiritually. So you could be resting and at the same time building your spiritual life. Does that make sense?
Please explain.
Okay. So when you pray, right?
Mm.
For those of us who pray, when you pray, you tell yourself that um I don't have to worry much because we have a power above us that takes care of
Mhm.
everything. For some people, I've met people who have told me that the universe takes care of the world. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't bother themselves to think, overthink, to put things in place. The universe will take care of it. So they'll pray and say, oh, universe, earth, mother
Mm-hmm.
earth, take charge, take
Right.
control.
Yeah.
So once you do that prayer, it kind of gives you that calm and that peace, and you stop worrying. Because spirituality gets us to a point where we worry.
That's right.
What is life gonna look like after death? What happens to those who have passed away? What so those unanswered questions that comes with spirituality. So when you engage in some of these examples that we are giving, it helps you to take it easy,
Mm-hmm.
calm down, relax, and it helps to rewire your mind.
Okay.
Let's keep going. So we have meditating, praying, engaging in spiritual practices, like spending time in nature, and we also talked about practicing yoga, just to kind of rewire your mind, relax, volunteering for a cause that you care about
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel happy, and it makes you have a sense of purpose. Because sometimes your thoughts may take you to a point where you feel like, I don't even know what I'm doing on this earth.
Yeah.
But then when you take time to meditate, or you take time, you can go out to relax, spend time in nature. It can help to revive your thoughts. It can help you to make you feel more okay, there is reason for me to be hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's making sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. So when we rest spiritually, we give ourselves time to connect with our inner selves. So you want to take time to reconnect with yourself, and then we find meaning in our lives, and it helps us to stay grounded and fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not gonna belabor the point. I have a question. A question for Hassan. Can we talk about rest and children or young people, especially as parents with children on holidays? We have five.
So how we can help children to feel rested?
Yeah, I think he's more focused on parents, but parents who have children who are out from school and
Okay.
home all day, how do they rest?
Yeah. So we have explained everything here. So it's important for parents to understand that they need breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, I could call you, use good friends, close friends. Hey, I could drop kids over at a friend's
Right.
house, and I take a break, a 2 hour break. Then it gives my kids time to play with other children,
Mm-hmm.
so they are engaging socially while I'm taking a rest.
Mm-hmm.
Then come up with routines in the house. Routines. Know that okay, kids get up at this time, we prepare breakfast, we go out for a walk, maybe they have 1 hour of schoolwork. So you have to plan their day. You don't just let them do anything anyhow, and then at the end of the day they don't even know what to expect. That can be quite disturbing for kids too. So plan a routine, and still have a bedtime routine for kids,
Yeah.
even when they're on holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have a bedtime routine for them, you put them early in bed, you go to bed as well.
Yeah.
But if you're keeping them up late, then you're staying awake longer, and then you still have your early morning waking
Mm-hmm.
for you going to work in the morning. So
Yeah.
those are some tips. Taking time, having practicing self-care, taking good showers, relaxing shower, eating healthy meals, creating time to connect with friends. It could be talking to loved ones on phone, or visiting,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
spending time in nature, create time to go out for walk with kids, especially now that the weather is good and we can go out. So
Yeah.
those are some of the things we can do to help to revive and to take rest. So taking little breaks, if you're home with them all day, sometimes maybe if they are watching TV, you go to your room and have a quiet time, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you go and have a shower and without any interruption from the kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be different for everybody depending on activities going on in each home, but these are some tips that
Yeah.
could be helpful. Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Yeah.
So as we begin to round up, is there anything else you want to add before we go?
So after listening to the discourse on the different types of rest, what type of rest do you think you have a deficit with? That is a
Um,
question I want to ask you and our audience.
um,
Because we all have to do a self-assessment,
right.
reflect on yourself, and say, hey, what is it that I'm missing out with?
I think the
Which
main thing I
area
struggle with,
do I need to work on? Mhm.
particularly social media, I need sensory rest.
So sensory
Yeah.
rest. Okay, great.
Yeah, that's one thing I need to work on. To a certain extent, creative rest, but I'll say for me, it's really sensory from what you've.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Sensory
Yeah.
stuff for you.
Yeah.
Any comment?
No, I think it was pretty good. Good presentation. So, yeah, yeah, not much. It was quite good.
Any comments?
I have a comment from Bon Constantine. Understand rest is important. What advice do you have for newly arrived immigrants who are trying hard to meet the financial challenges?
So he's asking what advice we have for
Yeah,
immigrants.
newly arrived immigrants. Yeah, who
He
have
talked about financial
who are
challenges.
trying hard to meet the financial challenges.
Um,
Because to expand on this point, I think all these things are good. The things that you say about rest, but then people have responsibilities and duties and commitments that they have to meet.
yeah.
Like, what's the point of taking rest when you have to pay your rent is due, or your car loan is due, or people back home are demanding money for you? Yeah, how do you take rest?
Okay. So if I were to make a comment with based on the explanation you gave,
Mm-hmm.
when you go to work, right? I think you have a right to take like a 10 or 15 minutes break,
Right.
even while you're at work, to
Mm-hmm.
go recharge. Sometimes you just want to go walk, keep your phone away, just go out for a little walk and come back. So we are not saying that people shouldn't work. We are not saying here that people shouldn't meet up with their demands in life. All what we are encouraging is for people to understand the 8 different areas of rest
Right.
and how they can inculcate them in their daily
Yeah.
lives. So, for instance, we've talked about even emotional and social
Yeah.
rest. So, that you're overworking, you may be lagging in the social aspect of your life. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe someone who works in a setting where there are many people need sometimes to get breaks or to take breaks from work. And now, taking breaks does not necessarily mean you will not make money. Taking one day off is not going to kill you.
Yeah.
Taking one day off, then you go back to work is helpful. Your body needs it physically. You need, and what we fail to understand is when you overwork yourself, you become unproductive.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're unproductive, it could lead to health issues.
No.
Then you break down, then you can't even work for a longer period of time. So which option would you go for? To take breaks time and again, short breaks time and again, or you fall sick and you go for a sick leave for a couple of months
Mm-hmm.
and you lose money real good.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. That's fair. I think that's it for.
So our discourse on rest is not for people to take long stretches of rest. No, it's for you to understand that rest is important
Mhm.
and to think about it in your daily activities.
Yeah.
Whenever you feel exhausted, anytime you feel it in your body. For me, sometimes when I'm on social media for too long, my eyes I feel strained,
Yeah.
and I will just want to put my phone away. So that's a form of rest. You don't necessarily have to take time off work for you to
Mhm.
rest. No, it's not every time that you need to be off work for you to rest. No.
Yeah.
So that's just one form of it. Another form we've discussed it here. So just knowing that sometimes you need time off work or maybe time of social gatherings or maybe
Yeah.
you need to stay away from friends who are not positive, who make you feel drained and exhausted. That's what we are discussing here, not actually preaching that people should stop work and take breaks or physical breaks off work. No, not necessarily.
That's fair. Okay, I think we've run the course for today.